And I started to use virtually with Simon, let's say 6 years ago, Simon.
Mm-hmm.
And I also practice facilitation in France since 2010, so it's another 10 years, I guess. And I'm very, very pleased to be with Simon today, even if it's just in English, and so it's a bit harder for me than in French. But I will do my best to co-facilitate with Simon and do my best so you can experiment a good conference, a virtual conference, where you will see how we can, even in this condition, collaborate virtually. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jean. So if anybody would like to speak French, pas de problème. Other languages, we see how we go. Eh? Rengi knows how good my Turkish is. I have about 3 words. So just a few things about how we work together virtually. Those of you who have been for the sessions over the last 2 days, you will know Zoom, but just a few things. So if you want to see the face of the people who are speaking, use the speaker view. And that means just above the pictures of people's faces, you have a choice of view, and the single block gives you the face of the person who's speaking. It's very helpful if you mute your microphone when not speaking, so we don't hear background noise. And you do that by clicking on the microphone icon, usually bottom left, and then a bar goes through it.
Or you know, Simon, I'll be able also to manage the microphone if somebody missed it. So
yeah, absolutely so. So thank you very much for that, Jean. There you can in Zoom put your hands up if you would like to speak. So if you click on the participant list, you can then, you see at the bottom it says raise your hand. Do you want to just try that? Who'd like to raise their hand? Just see if you can do that. Yep. So I can see some people putting their hands up, and then you click again to put your hand down. So if anyone wants to speak, feel free just to raise your hand. Or you can wave your real hand, I'll try and see you, or just speak. You know, we're very happy. It's really helpful when you speak, when you've finished speaking, to say, I'm finished. And that then helps us not to speak over each other. You can also write comments in the chat box, so just any thoughts, and we will look at the chat box and pick up your questions or comments. And as we go through, questions, comments, and examples are very helpful. And as we go through, we'll also be dividing things up, asking you to work in small groups, share, exchange, and discuss. So we have some experience to share with you, but we're also really interested in you sharing your experience with each other. So those are a few things, and we thought we would start right now by finding out a little bit more. So we have 3
Simon?
questions. Hi.
Simon, just before I see that we have somebody who joined with the phone. I have no idea about the name, but it seems that it's in English. Start with 44.
Yes. So no, well, that may of course just be the name, Mr. 447842390032. It's a well-known name in England. So you can change your name if you are looking on the participant list, usually by just hovering over and then actually writing your name in. But not clear if you're able to see the screen. I hope you can. Okay, so we're going to start with a few questions. We have just to find out who we have in the room. Jean, do you want to start this for us?
Yeah, first questions.
So the first question is a simple one. Are you familiar with Zoom? And we've decided to give you yes or no. So just to find out how you're doing. So if you'd like to click on that, and then we'll see how we're doing.
Yeah, I have about 80% of the people who answer yet.
Okay, so just the last few. Last chance. Tamara says you don't see it. Okay. So could you just write in the chat? Are you familiar with Zoom? Yes or no, if you don't see the poll. So do we have a result?
Yes, I share it right now.
Wow, look at that. So if we had done that 6 months ago, I wonder what the result would have been. Really, really interesting how we are all now familiar with Zoom. Okay, so that's great. There will be no problems with Zoom today. So next question, Jean.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this question is in normal times, and please use your own definition of normal times. So perhaps the times today are not normal. Do you facilitate or attend or manage or run virtual workshops? So do you normally work virtually, facilitate or run workshops, or attend them? Doesn't matter. If you'd like to answer, again, we've just done yes or no. And I can see some more answers in the chat. Thank you very much indeed for those. I think it may be because you're a co-host, Tamara. I think that may be it.
We reached 80%, Simon?
Okay, just last few. Let's see. You're going to reveal the results. Oh, I can't wait. No. That's interesting. So, quite a big group, yes. Not so many, but 70% saying no. So that gives us a sense of we have a group of people who are used to doing this, a group of people who are less so. And some interesting comments, Celeste saying mainly Adobe Connect. Yeah, Golly also. Yeah, Jean and I, when we started our virtual collaboration, we always used Adobe Connect, and then Zoom has crept up and up and up.
Okay. Yeah, a long time ago, Simon.
Yeah, that's right. And so let's follow that on a little bit with a question about what sort of tools you may have come into contact with. So when I say use, this can be as a facilitator or as a participant. So as well as Zoom or Adobe Connect, are you using shared documents like Google Docs or SharePoint? Have you come across something like Mural, which is a whiteboard? Or something like Mentimeter, which is a polling tool which asks, so it's a more sophisticated version of what we're doing. And then anything about other. And if you write other, you can choose as many as you like. Please feel free to feed in through the chat. So we have Miro, Jamboard, oh, good old WebEx, Slido. Yeah, absolutely. How many have we got in terms of answers?
We're about 66%, so just 70. I go ahead up to 80, guy.
Yeah, keep going. That's cool. Trello we've got as well. Yeah, I like Trello. How are we doing? We're going to close the poll?
Yes, Simon.
Cool. Okay, very good. Very interesting. Okay, so obviously these are, some people will have chosen more than one, but a lot of people using shared documents, a lot of people using Menti, 39% using Mural. That's quite a lot actually. And then in the box, Whiteboard MS, Hangouts, of course, Kahoot, GoToMeeting. So there's a lot of tools out there, and already from this discussion, a lot of experience out there. So what we are going to do is see if we can build upon that, the experience which we have in the room. So the first thing we wanted to say is we will be asking you to work together, and we have different levels of experience, different nationalities, different roles. So let's look after each other as we collaborate. One of the things about collaboration is it's kind of about being nice to each other and looking after each other. So if you're used to working in Zoom, if you're used to sharing your screen and so on, please do so, and we will encourage you to support each other. So what we're going to cover today is, we're in the opening at the moment, and we want to talk about what we mean by virtual collaboration. So a few thoughts about that. And then specifically how facilitators can support virtual collaboration, and give you the opportunity just to explore some of the different ways in which we can do that. So we have about 90 minutes today, and we will aim to close in good time. So that's the plan for the session, but you never know. We may do some different things. So just to start things off, we thought it would be worth getting you together in a few groups. You may already have met each other in previous sessions. That's absolutely fine. We're going to mix you up. But we have a very simple question, which is, what brought you to this session? So what was it that stimulated your interest? So we're going to ask you in a small groups in just a moment to introduce yourselves and then share what it was that brought you to this session. So Jean, are we ready to go with the groups, and will you explain what's going to happen?
If you're ready, we are ready. I mean, I will just click on a button, and you will be in subgroup breakout rooms. So you will be 5 by breakout rooms, and we'll just invite you with Simon to answer this first question. We'll stay in breakout rooms during, let's say, 5 or 6 minutes, Simon.
Perfect. Very good.
Okay. So if you're ready, go ahead.
Off you go.
See you. Yuki, you have to accept if you want to go in breakout rooms.
Sorry, but I didn't see. I didn't receive the signal.
Okay, so I will put you in a breakout rooms in just one second. Done. Should be okay now.
Okay.
And we have Kevin as well, who may be joining on the phone. And Kamaldeep.
I moved them, Simon.
Yeah, I think so. Rena, I think, is staying with us.
Yeah.
So we have Monica, Barty, Kevin, and Kamaldeep in this room at the moment.
Yeah, but I cannot affect Monica.
Mm-hmm. Monica, can you speak to us, and we'll find out what's going on. Yeah, it seems not. Shall I message Monica?
Yeah, because I do not see her in a breakout room. So.
No, well, in the main room we have Rena, Monica, Barty, and Kevin.
Yeah, I saw them, but you know, when I manage the breakout rooms,
okay, yeah.
I do not see her, even Kevin and Barty.
Uh-huh. Okay, let's just message.
In fact, they do not join. In fact, that's it. They do not click. Perhaps they are not in front of their computers.
Yeah. So what we might do is, for the next one, anybody who stays here, we'll encourage them just to discuss in this group.
Yeah, or we'll move them from a group to another.
Mm-hmm.
So we're back in, let's say, 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Perhaps I send a message.
Yeah.
If you want.
Yeah. Give them a couple of minutes.
Okay. A couple of other minutes.
Yeah. I like the way they're calling you Jean-Philippe. Jean-Philippe. You need to grow a beard. Hello, Laura, and hello, Pragya. How are you? Good afternoon, Laura. Good afternoon, Pragya. Are you able to hear us?
Yes.
Ah, excellent. Is that Pragya?
That's correct.
Very good, very good. We are just finishing a breakout session, and people will be back in just a minute, and then we'll catch up with where we are. So that's good.
Sorry, I kind of joined in late, but yeah.
Well, we'll be continuing in another session in a breakout in just a minute. So, and the same, Laura, to you. Very good to have you with us. Thank you for the message in the chat. Lovely to have you with us. My name is Simon, and we will be bringing people back together again, and then you'll have the opportunity to join the breakout discussion.
Okay, Simon. So I close breakout rooms.
Yeah, very good.
I don't know how. So they'll be back in 60 seconds maximum.
Cool. So I'll just share screen in. And we'll move on to the next one. I think we'll move on to the next one pretty much straight away, I think. So you're going to do different groups for the next one? Jean?
Yes, I'll try. So it's just 30 seconds now.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, when the people talk, they talk, and they don't want to go back to main room. 10 seconds, Simon.
Cool. Oh, there's Susanna. Hey. Hi again. Hi, welcome back.
Hey.
Okay, welcome back. And this return from the breakouts in Zoom is just like a shock. You know, if this was a face-to-face room, I'd be standing in the doorway saying, please come back. And you'd be going, yeah, just a minute. Meaning, of course, we will be here for another 20 minutes. So apologies for taking you away from each other. And we have this balance here of you know, encouraging people to participate, and at the same time we want to move. So we are going to ask you a second question and put you in different groups, I hope. So this is our second question. So having thought about what brought you here, our second question is, what do you understand by virtual collaboration? So when you saw the title of this, virtual collaboration, what does that mean to you? And to be very clear, there are 100 answers. We're not looking for a right answer. We're interested in your answers. So we'll put you in the groups, bring you back, and we may just ask you to put a few words in the chat when we return. Jean.
Yeah, you will have a bit more time for this as your group will be just a little bit bigger. Have a good discussion.
Can you put me in some room, please?
Yes, Tamara.
Thank you.
Done, Tamara.
Thank you.
Yuki, I do the same for you.
And we have Lynn joining us, I think. We still have Monica and Kevin who we can't hear, so not quite sure about that. And Parag is here still. Do you want to see if Parag will move?
Parag, you're supposed to click on the small button to accept. I guess Parag and Monica do not see the bottom, Simon.
Let me see. Okay, we'll check with that.
We go for a 10 minutes, Simon?
8, I think.
8 minutes?
8,
Okay.
9. Yeah.
So it's going to be...
Because I've just got an eye. That'll take us to the hour.
15.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we should be fine. And then we can get a bit of feedback, I think.
Okay. Yes, you're right. We're a bit late.
Well, we're fine. We're fine. Aha, we have Praful. Welcome, Praful. Praful, hi there. We're just discussing in some small groups. What do we understand by virtual collaboration? And Jean, are you able to invite Praful to join the group?
Yeah, done, Simon.
Sure. Thank you. I'll join the group number 3.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Sorry for being late. Yeah.
Not at all. Very good to have you here.
Sure.
Good. Okay, that's good. So, Jean, in terms of the feedback, we do have a smaller group. So, how many breakouts?
Right now it's a 6.
6.
So there are 6 per subgroups because just to be sure it mixed. And the first it was 7 groups.
Yeah, no, that's good. So I think we can take a little popcorn feedback, ask comments in the chat if anyone wants to shout out.
Exactly.
For a few minutes.
Okay.
That'll be good. But I'm not going to say group 1, group 2, group 3.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
We are not intend to do that anyway.
No,
Simon,
no, so we'll just do a bit of popcorn. Let me just see. Okay. That was brilliant that 100% of people use Zoom. It's just, It's just so, that shift over the last 3 months.
The speed, it was amazing. The quantity of number of people using Zoom and not Skype and
yeah.
It's just amazing.
Oh God, there's a very good IAF person in the UK, but she's Spanish, called Pilar Orti. I don't know if you've seen her stuff on Twitter, and she is fantastic. And I was doing a podcast with her, and she asked me to record on Skype, and I just couldn't do it. My computer, Skype was trying to eat my computer again. And then she said, would you rather do Zoom? I'm like, yeah. No, it's terrible, Skype.
A lot of discussion in France regarding Zoom and security issues and all that stuff. And okay, I hope that it will change as fast as they try to stop Zoom. But
well, it's so variable. So Carol's universities, they won't use Zoom. And then some of our government people won't use Zoom, but some of our government will use Zoom. And some of our government people won't use Teams. So it's just,
European organization use Zoom.
Yeah, exactly.
They say it's not safe.
Yeah. But they are working very hard, Zoom, to...
Yeah, it's about 10 releases during the month or something like this. So I sent a message. So it's 58. So I send a message for another couple of minutes.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
So I move in breakout session and just go in Tamara session and say, oh, we're just talking about you. How did you know that? So I say, oh, you know, it's virtual.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So
Okay, here we go.
I bring that back.
Yeah, cool.
Already, go ahead.
Hey, welcome back.
Hey. Oh,
Welcome back.
thank you.
And I like the way that somebody actually is coming into the room. So they've been in a breakout room. I think that's really
I feel
weird.
like dragged in.
Yeah, exactly. So welcome back again. Really good to see you all. So we're just waiting for a few more people to return from the breakout
20
rooms.
seconds, Simon. Just 20 seconds.
Yeah. So that's, there we go. Different people were at different stages. Some people said, yes, we've had our discussion. And other people are still waving their arms and having the conversation. So while we pull people back together, if anybody would like to just write, we were asking the question, what do you understand by virtual collaboration? And if anybody has got a good answer they'd like to write in the chat box on the basis of your conversation, please feel free to do that now. I'd like, just before we continue, to welcome a number of people who arrived a little bit after we'd started. So let me just say again, you're very, very welcome. My name is Simon. My colleague Jean is here today, and we are discussing virtual collaboration and how facilitators can support that. So really great to see you all here today. I hope that your colleagues in the breakout sessions made you very welcome. Particularly excellent photo, I have to say, screen photo from Supana there. I like that one very much. So always very good to see the creative ways in which people engage with these sessions. So if you would like, if you feel inspired, I'm not going to go round each of the groups. To use the chat box, make sure that you are sending your message to everyone. So two at the above the box needs to read everyone so we can share. And just any comments on what came up in terms of what you understand by virtual collaboration. Just any comments on that. And I'm going to, oh wow, Goli is started us off with a really cool one. So that's excellent. And again, this is not looking for the right answer. It's looking for what do we come up with together. And then I'm going to make a few comments, share some of the things we've been exploring. And then we're going to move on a bit to what it is that facilitators can do. So Goli, access to people in different places, different times, asynchronous work. I'm glad you came up with that word because I was going to have to introduce it. So asynchronous means working not at the same time. Innovating and adapting things from BC before COVID era. Wow. Embrace new possibilities. Normality for some companies for many years, that's very true. It means communicate, work together, and obtain results through technology, working with people across borders, which may not be possible to meet in person. Jean, embrace the world. Avoid traveling, be mindful of environmental impact. Celeste, I think this is so important. For years now, I've been saying to people, you know, you can collaborate virtually. It'll save carbon, it'll save time, it'll save money. And it's really the health benefits and the current situation that have made such a big difference. So learning from each other, creating virtually, communication and collaboration, and it can provide great opportunities when managed well, absolutely so. So some great comments, and please do include those. So that's low stress related to flying. Yes, I absolutely love that. I never want to go to an airport again. I've had enough of airports. So let's think about how we can reduce stress and improve well-being. And then tomorrow, a really important point, which is about understanding the limits and creating spaces for everyone to participate. So for me, virtual collaboration is thinking about inclusion, involving everybody, breaking down barriers to participation, whether that's through gender, whether that's through culture, whether that's through class, whether that's through money. So how can we collaborate more effectively? And Perveen, I love this point, leveraging strengths across geographies, exactly, our different strengths together. So I just have a few things I wanted to share, but do keep the ideas coming in. And I'm going to keep this very simple, but please do feel free to add your thoughts and comments as we go, and do that by raising your hand, by writing in the chat, or simply by speaking. You're very welcome just to speak. So I kind of start with collaboration itself. We never mind the virtual. So collaboration for Jean and me is a human process which is backed by systems. So Jean and I have been collaborating for 6 years. We work together at a distance, England and France. We have great systems in place, but what also counts is our human relationship. So it's about relationship building. It's really important that collaboration can bring benefits, but it also has costs. So if you collaborate, you have to bring something to the party, but you may also be prepared to give things up, to do things differently. And that means that it complements and challenges how we work in our home organization. So quite often this is asking us to question ourselves, to think about new ways of doing things. Collaboration can be a real challenge to our cultures and the BC world, as somebody mentioned it. And I think it's also worth just thinking that collaboration occurs at very many different levels, and this is possibly just an oversimplification, but on the left hand side of this spectrum is just people exchanging information. We send each other emails, we exchange information, we use it however we wish. And then as we move across the spectrum, coordination is let's not duplicate our activities, let's be more efficient. Cooperation means we stay distinct. Jean and I, our two companies, stay distinct, but we're very cooperative. But then you may move into jointly managed projects. And then as you head towards the right-hand side, you're looking at actually embedding collaboration in business as usual, where actually we are simply working together across boundaries and organizations and cultures in quite a different way. And so as facilitators, we need to be thinking about, well, what is the ambition of the groups we work with? Where along the spectrum are they? How deep does this need to go? Because the further to the right of the screen you go, the deeper the collaboration, the more attention and energy it may need. So I hope that that's helpful. I then wanted to move to the virtual dimension, and I have 2 slides about tools. So that the first one is, I suppose, what many of us have been talking about in the last few months, and most of us have been doing, to judge by our early survey. So we have the question of hardware. I'm sitting here in front of a laptop, and I have a second laptop by me, and I have a screen behind me. And Jean, how many screens do you have?
Yeah, it's about 4 plus my smartphone in case.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, many people are using tablets or PCs, large machines, but often collaboration is done through one of these, through a smartphone. And therefore we need to think about the tools we use. How do they come across on different types of hardware? And particularly if people are out in the field, working, traveling, and so on, it's how can we support virtual collaboration on smartphones that becomes an interesting challenge. And a lot of what we can do on Zoom at the moment, we can do on a smartphone as well as on a PC, but actually, where is that heading? And then we identify 5 main types of tools. So there's the video conference tool, Zoom, Teams, Adobe Connect. Someone mentioned WebEx. We've used all of those. BlueJeans, there are thousands of these. The survey tools like Slido, Mentimeter, someone mentioned Trello, I think. Shared documents, so Google Docs, SharePoint, Concept Board, Mural, Miro, Jamboard, all these different shared spaces that we can come together. Of course, social media, you know, so Jean and I are in contact here through WhatsApp as we go through the meeting, and many of you will be WhatsApping and tweeting during the session. So the WhatsApp enables you to reinforce collaboration internally, and Twitter enables you to amplify and expand your collaboration. And then, of course, we have the project management tools, so Basecamp, Slack, Klaxoon. There are many, many of these different tools. So what we're thinking about as facilitators is what's the right mix of tools to support virtual collaboration. And I'm going to invite you to explore this a bit further in just a moment. There is, however, one really important tool which I just wanted to mention to you, and I've actually got one here. You may have seen this before, which is this particular tool here. So it is important not to forget the role of pen, paper. You can include, if you like, post-it notes and flip chart pens, and I would encourage you, if you have any of this stuff close to you, please would you make sure that you have paper and pen with you for the next part of the meeting. Jean always makes sure I have paper and pen with me, and I'm not very obedient about that, I think, Jean.
Just you know, I'm within my screen and try to find my tools, and just to show you I can use it, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, you've done a really good job there. So remember analog. You know, we are collaborating digitally, but we are also human beings at the end of these machines. So stand up, sit down, draw, wave your arms, sing. You know, these things are really important in the way we collaborate.
Just to add something, Simon, I guess the point there is, which is very important for me at least, is you do not have to do a choice between virtual and you know, and live collaboration. You have to consider both of them, you know, and just to serve the relationship between all of us, and to have the better collaboration possible.
Yeah,
I said, Simon.
Thank you so much. So just before we move on, I wanted to make precisely this point that it's all about mix. So as facilitators in this world of virtual collaboration, it's about the mix of virtual, face-to-face. It's a mix of digital and analog. And also, I'm so pleased that Gully has introduced the word synchronous and asynchronous, because I'm about to come on to that in a moment. So when we look at the role of facilitators, so we've looked at virtual collaboration, yes?
Excuse me, Simon, I guess Ebru would like to ask something.
Oh, perfect. Yes, please. Questions are always welcome. Hi.
Yes, hi, Simon and Jean. Really interesting discussion. And I was wondering, you said something that I always have in mind, in the sense that there is a lot of merit in standing up and wandering around, and we use that effectively in the classroom face-to-face training.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, what's your thought in terms of bringing that into virtual? How do you do it, or any thoughts on that? Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me give you some examples. It depends on the type of activity. But the first thing is very simple, which is we have now been here for about 45 minutes. So it's time to stand up. It's as simple as that. So hold your machine, and if it's safe to do so, stand up. And you'll notice that my voice changes. See if you can do it. If it's not safe to do so, please don't. And I actually have a space here where I can put my laptop standing. And so just move, encourage people to do that. And it changes the energy, it makes a shift. And look at all the pictures, because what's then also happening is that the pictures are going. So just use that occasionally to shift the energy. The second thing that you can do, though, is to connect through the computer to your environment. So I'll very often ask people to stand up, leave the machine, and come back and share an analog object. So I have a series of analog objects here, or music indeed. Whose is the music? Is that Jean?
Yeah, of course, Simon.
Okay, let's move. Okay, let's move. Okay. Okay, so we have Paolo, that was exceptionally cool. So we have human connection here. Of course, this needs to be appropriate. And then we have the objects. So this was the toy car I had when I was 5. Paolo, what have you got? Yeah, I think we need sound as well for this.
It's a kind of noises, noise generator.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, look at Celeste. Oh, I love that. Yeah. What is that? Can you introduce us, Celeste?
Well, it's a donkey.
It's a donkey. And,
Yeah.
and does it have a name? What's its role?
It's called donkey.
Donkey. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if I were a facilitator, which I am, I would then ask other members of the group to comment on the donkey. So what does the donkey say about Celeste and how she works? What does it say about our team? And Tamara has got the world in her hand, obviously. I know Tamara, she has the world in her hand. This is so true. And so what we're doing here is making that human connection across a team. Now it has to be appropriate. It has to be culturally right. So I appreciate that music, donkey, even cars, you know, these mean different things in different cultures. But by finding these things, we learn. So stand, move, bring analog objects in. So, and if you have paper, then share the actual physical drawings you've produced, as well as the virtual drawings you share. So I'm working with an English and French group at the moment, and we were asking people to show the views out of their window, you know, appropriately possible things to share in terms of who you are as a person. So thank you for that fantastic question.
Yes, Simon.
Yeah.
Just you know, I see the award office from Dubai, and I see he he has a lot of post-it on his wall, and you can also use your wall directly.
Yeah, so you could directly do your post-its on the wall. Oh, Howard, there's a spelling mistake. 3 from the left there. Sorry, that was a joke. But yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So you can directly work with analog, with post-its, with paper, and so on. So don't feel it all has to be digital. Digital, analog, virtual, face-to-face mix. Which takes us in, so thank you for that fantastic question. Please do add more fantastic questions as we go. Very, very happy to take those. So let me just kind of bring this up and move it on, because what we're doing here as facilitators supporting virtual collaboration is like this. It's about 3 or 4 different dimensions. So what we're looking at first of all is the role of the facilitator, and these are the International Association of Facilitator Competencies, which remains exactly the same in the virtual world as face-to-face. So it's about creating great relationships with your clients. It's about planning processes, making the environment participatory by involving donkeys and music and all sorts of things. Helping groups reach useful outcomes, building and maintaining your skills, and modeling that positive and neutral attitude that a facilitator has. So all of that remains exactly the same. But then typically you have these dual roles, these 2 roles. So today, I am looking after the process and the human dynamics, and Jean is looking after the technology, the chat, the audio and the video, and of course the music soundtrack, which he provided at that stage. And so one of the great joys of virtual facilitation is the ability to work together to co-facilitate. And I have to say that I've done more co-facilitation in the virtual world with these 2 roles happening. So there are 2 pieces of process, technical and process facilitation. There's then the thinking about what do we do virtually and what do we do face-to-face. Now, at the moment, most of our societies have had that face-to-face element taken out by COVID. But that won't be forever. So there's something to think about. When do we actually need to be together? And when can we work virtually? So for some of us, it will be 90% virtual. For some of us, 90% face-to-face. But most of the organizations I'm working with right now who are looking at post-COVID, who are looking at after coronavirus, are thinking about hybrid, a mix of virtual face-to-face. And then we bring in this wonderful word, synchronous and asynchronous. And Gully, I'm going to have to ask you to explain what these are, because you came up with it first. So what does synchronous mean and what does asynchronous mean? Please speak to us.
Oh, just for me, Simon?
Yeah, sure.
No, Gully, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I came to these words when I started an online course after COVID pandemic, and I was looking for different tools, and when I noticed about Slack, because I already knew about Basecamp, then when I were searching for these tools and I was studying, I noticed that when people get together, you know, when people get together at the same time, this means that is asynchronous and synchronous. But when they are in different places and with different times, which means that, for instance, we can have access to a Slack. I can do it at my time, and Celeste can do it at her time whenever she wishes. So in that way, we can work 7 days for 24 hours, and which is really great.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I've just added in on the slide here. So synchronous is at the same time and asynchronous is at different times and indeed at different places. So this is a synchronous meeting at the same time, and then an asynchronous discussion would be, for instance, if different people listen to the recording of this session at different times, that will be asynchronous. So I'd like to ask you to explore this a bit. So what we think about when planning virtual collaboration is this matrix here. So what is face-to-face, what is virtual, what is synchronous, and what is asynchronous? And what goes in those different boxes to support virtual collaboration? And we'd like to ask you to have a go at this And we're going to describe a process using this important piece of technology, which I've just put on the screen, which is a piece of paper and a pen. So if you have got a piece of paper and a pen, that would be great. And what I'd like you to do is to draw that cross, draw the grid on the paper, and just write the words face-to-face, virtual, synchronous, and asynchronous. If you don't have the piece of paper, that's absolutely fine, because somebody else in your group will have. Okay. So cross on the piece of paper, synchronous, face-to-face, virtual, synchronous, asynchronous, face-to-face, virtual, we're making a grid. And then we're going to try this out. So Jean in a minute will divide us into groups. One person in each group, copy the grid onto a slide or use the piece of paper and share your screen in the group with the rest of the group. And then what we're going to ask you, so it will look like this, and we're going to ask you to produce a grid with your ideas about the types of activity that you could do under each of these headings. So just as an example, a synchronous virtual activity would quite simply be, for instance, a Zoom meeting. There are others, but it could quite simply be a Zoom meeting. But an asynchronous virtual could be, for instance, an email chain, or it could be a shared document. So thinking about collaboration, what types of activities might happen to complete the grid? And let's just imagine for the moment that we're doing both face-to-face and virtual. So we're in that world. We're going to ask you to test this out now. This is the question: what activities enable virtual collaboration? And in your groups, if one person could share their screen and help you populate that grid, that would be absolutely fantastic. So Jean, how long have we got?
I guess will be 15 to 20 minutes. I just add something. If you have problems, I mean, you should have a button, a small button to ask help from us. So just use it. And so we'll arrive in breakout rooms and try to help you if you have troubles.
Yeah.
So
Just let me pick up on the 2 points in the Zoom chat. So Marta, isn't it the difference between live and recorded? Yeah, absolutely, it can be that. And then Howard says, can be agile versus waterfall. I like that too. So think through how you use these approaches. Think about examples of collaboration which you might want to support and the types of activity. And use whatever connections you feel are helpful. Sorry, Jean.
You're welcome. So if everybody is ready, just take off.
I think you may need to assign Yuki there.
Yuki again.
That's okay. Well,
yeah, but I'm not able to assign Yuki. And even Alicia, you have to click the button to join.
What happened to me?
I don't know exactly. It happens sometimes with Zoom. What can I do?
So we have.
Perhaps you can log off, log in, and I can put you in the breakout rooms easier.
Yeah. That
Alicia, do you see the button to connect to breakout rooms? Can you hear me, Alicia?
I think Alicia's frozen. That's
yeah.
the issue. Nidhi? How about Nidhi? And Perveen?
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah.
But perhaps they can manage a group or subgroup in this in this room. You know, Simon? And we just
Yeah,
let
so
them.
yeah, so Alicia, Perveen, and Yuki and Nidhi, are you able to speak?
Yes, I can, but not sure others.
I think we have some connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I am going to share this slide, and then you can, let's see if you can just discuss in this room between yourselves what sorts of things you think might fit well. Let me just share this for you so that
And
we
Simon, I
keep it
just
simple.
move in the breakout rooms to see how it happens. Okay?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
See you
That's great.
soon.
Yeah. So just discuss among yourselves. I'm not going to try to facilitate, just discuss among yourselves.
Okay.
See if you can speak to each other. We'll just have to see if the technology works.
I think Yuki just went off the...
Yeah. Yeah, she's gone. So Perveen and Alicia, are you able to speak?
Can you hear me? Yes, clearly, very clearly. All right, would you like to give it a shot, Alicia? Alicia?
So hot here. Anyway, so what are the activities that are virtual? Is that what we're supposed to discuss?
Yeah. Yes.
Not very clear, Alicia.
What types of
can't hear you very
activities?
clearly.
Yeah.
Planning. We can do that virtually.
Alicia, I think one of us needs to note that down because we're supposed to be the ones who are in the group. So are you noting it? Would you like me to note it? What do you want to do?
I can note it. I can do that. I have a pen and...
Okay.
So virtual would be asset planning.
Virtual and synchronous, right? Which quadrant are you referring to? The virtual and synchronous or the virtual and the asynchronous?
Actually, it's it can be both. When you do planning, you can do it synchronous, and if it's like a continuous work and you need to share documents, then you can also do it. So it's a one-time planning can be purely virtual, and the long-term planning can be when you need to share documents, that can be on the fourth quadrant as well.
Okay.
What about you? What do you think? What activities?
I am not being able to think very honestly. I'm trying to focus more on virtual than on face-to-face. Face-to-face is something that we've tried and tested for years. So trying to think a little more about virtual.
Well, coming up with new ideas like solutions, new ideas.
You mean brainstorming?
Yeah, brainstorming. What cannot be virtual would be a
games. Some games that are team games. Some of them may be virtual. I don't know. I'll have to experiment with some now. But the games that as facilitators we've often played, in outbound activities, offsite, outbound activities cannot be virtual. Well, maybe they can, but many of those games may not lend themselves well enough to being played in a virtual context.
So that's a quadrant 2 activity, asynchronous and face-to-face.
Okay.
Okay. Face-to-face and cannot be virtual would be fixing a hardware.
No, I'm really thinking in the context of the kind of training that I conduct. And I'm thinking for role plays and so on. Sometimes we can actually bring pre-recorded videos to the session. Of course, it would eventually become part of the Zoom meeting itself. But we can definitely maybe that can be a part of asynchronous. Although when we are using it, the time we're recording it and bringing it, but when we are using it, it's actually synchronous.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm kind of zoned out now. I'm tired. I'm not thinking too much.
I would say like some solutions, like some hardware, like when you are what can be done virtually is in customer service, for example, like there are things that you can do to fix something, like solving a hardware problem on your computer, a software problem on your computer can be virtual. But if it's hardware, it's so difficult. it needs to be physical because you're looking. It's not a software problem, but it's a hardware problem. So I think it's a fixing some hardware computer, for example. It cannot be. It could be difficult to fix that virtually.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, I guess that's fair enough. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
When you fix an equipment, sometimes you need an expert to do it physically. It's not enough for virtual instruction, especially for expensive equipment.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Software can be virtual. Don't you think? Fixing software problems.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What else?
Instruction can be done virtually. Like what schools are doing right now, they're shifting from face-to-face to virtual instruction, like education and instruction.
Synchronous or asynchronous?
Can be both. There are instruction that is done through collaboration, but there's instruction that can be done one-on-one.
Mm-hmm. Coaching, one-on-one coaching can be virtual synchronous. Yeah? Coaching.
Yeah. And what about the team coaching?
Team coaching, yeah. Team coaching any kind of coaching, whether it's team coaching or one-on-one, would be can be virtual and synchronous. Of course, it can also be face-to-face.
Okay.
Assessments can be both, you know.
Perveen and Alicia, in about 1 minute, people will be coming back. So just so you know, your room will suddenly be full.
Okay. This is such a challenge. That's why I joined this training. I used to be just a participant in WebEx.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But WebEx is really instruction.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't collaborate.
Yeah, I've worked a lot in WebEx, and you can collaborate, but it is more set up for instruction. That's exactly right, Alicia. Although, in fact, the first time Jean and I worked together was using WebEx many years ago. So that was our first experience of virtual collaboration. And welcome back to the lovely faces and lovely pictures. Such a good combination. It's really nice to see you all. This main meeting room has also been used as a workshop, which is great. So Perveen and Alicia we're sitting here. So I'm sure you've found, but occasionally people can't move into breakouts in Zoom. So I just use the space. And Perveen and Alicia, I think, had a very good discussion. So really great to see you all as you return. What I'd like to do is, so welcome back, really good to see you all, and hope you had a good conversation. Perveen and Alicia were using this room as their breakout room, so if you do find yourself in Zoom and people can't join the breakouts, they can use the main room as a breakout. It's always a good idea. So it would be great to have some feedback on what came up. I'm not going to ask for every group, and I'm not going to ask for every group to tell us the whole story. So my question for you is, where was the energy in your discussion? What was it that got the most interest in your discussion when you were talking about virtual collaboration? And if you're able to share your screen or share your paper, that's also really good. And let's just hear from a few people. So please either put your hands up or you can just wave at me. If you wave at me, I will see your hand.
You say a word.
Look at that, Howard. Look at Howard. I might have guessed that Howard would have the post-its like that. That's really, really cool. And so tell us, Howard.
So I nominate Paolo to assist me on this.
Paolo, where was the energy? And you need to unmute, or we won't know where the energy is.
Yeah, everywhere basically. But we started with the face-to-face because our question was, what is really now different between the face-to-face and the virtual and synchronous? So I must say the energy was that so much that I at least was sad to come back to the plenary.
Okay, well that's absolutely great. And if you wish to return, you're very, very welcome. We will not be offended. That's absolutely fine. So thank you. That's absolutely brilliant. Really good. So who else would like to feedback? Just where was the energy? What happened in your group? Just a quick piece of feedback. I'm going to, who else? Please wave at me. Show me something. Yes, Chuan Fan.
Yes, thank you. So I talked with Monica and Arena, and I think our energy really sparked when Arena mentioned this, like nonverbal communication is really what's like face-to-face synchronized in that grade, and we all really like this idea. And we kind of had a hard time to try to figure out like whether interpretation. Any conversation requires interpretation. Does that count as face-to-face asynchronous? Because that's a grade like we are struggle the most. Yeah, that's from our group. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So one of the things that I take from that is really notice people. So as I was looking at your face, Chuan, I was seeing your expressions, I was picking up your energy. I had you on the speaker view so I could really see. Listen to people's voices. Voice tone is really, really important. So use your voice as a facilitator, but listen. People are telling you things, not with the words they use, but with the tone they use. How are you today? Really good. You know, how are you today? Really good. But was that too far? So really listen to the tone. And then also notice how people are sitting. Notice their posture. You can still see. Look at gestures. You know, we can pick up much more than we think from people sharing. And there is real value in the webcam. So I know that some people don't have webcams, they don't like webcams, but for a lot of this, it's really useful. So who else would like to wave at me? Who else would like to share something about the energy? Or put your virtual hand up, that's also fine. Who else would not like to wave at me but is prepared to wave at me if I ask them very nicely? Yes, please. Thank you, Suparna.
Hi, so we were in group number 4 and sorry, I was writing in a book and I don't know how you will see this, but I can read it out. So what really got us into discussion was how do we differentiate between face-to-face and virtual collaboration when it comes to, say, a mentoring or a coaching session. So we had a lot of discussions like synchronous, yes, virtual would be, say, using social media platforms or a group coaching. But which quadrant do I put this one-to-one coaching or mentoring or feedback session? While I feel I'm using the virtual media, but it's face-to-face. So that's kind of took a hell of a discussion for us and we kind of enjoyed it in our group. And virtual asynchronous, I mean, yes, suddenly I felt we got a lot of energy and everything that we talked about came under virtual, either synchronous or asynchronous. For example, any kind of a learning management system or a virtual survey or psychometric, anything would come under virtual asynchronous. That kind of set us thinking. Yeah, so if you could just clarify, Simon, because we were a group really needed some clarity. When would an individual coaching or mentoring session come? Which quadrant?
So I can give you my answer, but others may have different answers. So if you are simply coaching or mentoring an individual, then that for me is synchronous. That is doing it in real time. But if you're working with a team and the team come together at the same time, and then different people are experiencing coaching and mentoring at different times, and then they come back together again, the team gathering is synchronous and the coaching is asynchronous. I'm going to give you another answer, Suparna, which sounds like a joke, but it's not. Which is, in facilitation, the answer to all questions is it depends. So the answer to your question is it depends, and you need to think about it in the context of your broader process. But I hope that helps a bit. Dragana, are you going to share your fabulous Jamboard? Can we see this, please? Thank you. So that's very cool. So this is a Jamboard, I think. please speak.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Okay, so can we tell where the energy was?
Where? In the group, or?
Yeah, tell us about the energy.
Yeah, it was nice. The people were adding the post-its, and yeah, it was nice.
Yeah. So what I see looking at your lovely Jamboard is a lot of synchronous. And one of the questions for us in virtual collaboration is this balance.
Mm-hmm.
So synchronous is fantastic because we make the connection in the moment. And at the same time, most of my clients say, I have Zoom, 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 MS Teams, Zoom. So people are so sort of overwhelmed with synchronous. And the advantage of asynchronous is it helps you organize your own time. So it's just thinking about getting that balance right. So you look at Mentimeter, and that can be either synchronous or asynchronous, same with Slido and so on. How does that feel to you? Oh, look at this. We have movement. Thank you. So it's just worth thinking about.
Miro and Concept Board and Google Drive, everything can be asynchronous.
Yeah. So it's just thinking about that balance in the energy. And Mahi makes the brilliant question, makes the brilliant comment about being the Zoombies. Yeah, so a Zoombie is someone who has been on so many Zoom meetings, they've become a zombie. Yeah, absolutely so. So that is absolutely splendid. Thank you so much, Dragana. And there could be many more. I'm quite clear about this. But just in the last few minutes, I did want to see if we could pull a few thoughts together. So absolutely loved all of those comments. And of course, if you've worked on paper, you can take a photo of the paper, you can send it to your colleagues. If you worked on a Jamboard, you can save that, you can ask people to add to it asynchronously. But before we close, I just wanted a little bit of a chat session. So thinking about virtual collaboration, how facilitators can support virtual collaboration. My remaining question is, what are you taking away? And the challenge for you is, if somebody starts in the chat, but look at the chat and try to make a link with what others have made in the chat. It doesn't have to be the same thing, it can be the opposite, but just notice what's in the chat and allow that just to stimulate some thinking. So what are you taking away? Big things, small things, ideas, frustrations, questions, inspiration, uncertainty, whatever it may be. Off you go. Absolutely love these. Pride in being a member of the IAF. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much, and absolutely love those comments, and they're making me think also. The huge pleasure about this whole field is that every time I come to lead a session, I learn, and I've learned some really important stuff today. Very interested by the way the word balance is coming through. That's really, really interesting. And also, I think some of these issues around style, I like the Jamboard. I thought that was very, very good. And I also very much like the sense of the energy shifting as you stood and sat and so on. Really good. Jean, last thought from you.
Oh, you know, it was a lot of fun for me as I stay, you know, backstage, Simon, and I love this moment with the music and you know, this moment all of you stand up and started to move, because you know it's you know, for me it's the real way to collaborate virtually. Never forget that we are human persons and the relationship. So it was a very good, very great moment for me. And I hope with Simon we will bring to you some more information, some more knowledge, some more experience. And I hope you also enjoyed this moment. See you then, perhaps virtually.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup, Jean. Thank you so much. I was just saying to Jean that the great pleasure was that this was also an opportunity for both of us to co-facilitate. Again, we've both been working in our own countries over the last couple of months, and we always learn from each other as well. Thank you so much for your wonderful participation.
Simon?
And are you the last voice, Tamara? Yeah.
Sorry, because, well, basically I was originally the host, a dedicated host, but I came later on, so it was great to have Rengin at the beginning, but I will just have a few final words if you allow me to.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tamara.
First of all, of course, to thank you so much for this wonderful session at the end of the day, and it by having all the participants so active, it means that you really kept the spirit up, I think. So that's great. And just a couple of technical information. Now I'm sharing. Rena already shared the links for our event, all the media that we should follow: Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and everything. And I just shared the Google Docs. This is a format for evaluating the sessions, but also to give some of the information of the people who came to the festival and what will be their takeaways from this festival. And we would really, really like you to fill this form in. Because this is the way how we are learning and how we are expanding our knowledge about organizing festivals and virtual events. So this is one thing. And the next thing is that for tomorrow, we have one change. And I would like also to announce that in this session. Maybe some of you already heard it because you were already with me in the sessions. So for tomorrow, we have the change sorry, you probably hear some background noise. I'm sorry about that. There are some construction works. So we have, instead of climate change from a gender perspective session, we will have open space session, and it will be run by our colleague from Romania, Bogdan. He jumped in the last moment, and he's great. So please, if you already didn't sign in for this session, which starts tomorrow at 1 o'clock Central European time or 2 o'clock Turkey time, you also might actually send request for Zoom link to the Turkey account. So Turkey at IAF World. Yeah, Golly just, yeah, sorry. IAF, no, she shared Golly shared the IAF webpage. Sorry about that. So just send us email back and we will send you the link for the tomorrow session. And that's it for today. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you.
And see you. We did some photos, I think. So I hope we can share some photos for tomorrow. I will now do some screenshots at the end. Okay. Thank you very much. And see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. I was saving the chat. If you need Simon and Jean, if you need chat, I can also email it to you.
That would be good. Thank you.
Okay.
There were some good
Yeah.
comments there. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Lovely to see you.
Yes, yes.